Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. Shout outs to the whole LDBC. You know, I had to basically gather my thoughts in regards to this subject, that I'm about to talk about. The thing is when it comes to the boxing media, I'm just talking about the boxing media alone. I think we can safely say that the boxing media is definitely in cahoots with the promotional companies as well, and what the promotional companies are trying to push, and I'm going to give the case of a couple of fighters basically. Now, we're going to start with Shakur Stevenson first. So, Shakur Stevenson put on a hometown display. He did what he was supposed to do in his hometown, right? He knocked the dude out, Alberto Guevara or something like that. And so he called for, he called to fight Josh Warrington. That's who he says he wants to fight next, because he feels that he feels like he can beat him, for whatever reason. So on boxing News 24, I think it is, and it's really hard to actually get behind these boxing medias when there may be someone else pulling the strings, when themselves are supposed to give I want to say a transparent analyst of boxing, and they choose not to. That they choose to basically give a rather biased narrative of boxing that really shows that they favor a certain type of fighter over another type of fighter. And I'm about to go into this a little bit. So in this magazine or this news article, it gives the win, it gives Shakur Stevenson's the analyst of the win against the Alberto Guevara guy. They did not give Shakur Stevenson any credit whatsoever, for stopping him, knocking him out already. They gave him no credit at all. They just basically said, they basically, basically just said, he was there to get knocked out. He was there to lay down, whatever the case may be. That's what the magazine said, or the article I said, or the article. That's what the article said. To take it a step further, the article said that Shakur Stevenson is not ready for upper echelon competition. That he is not ready for the top guys at the division, such as Leo Santa Cruz, such as Gary Russell, such as Valdez. They all said that he was not ready to take those fights. They said that in fact, they said that he's not ready for any top competition, basically, And so I was like, that's odd, kind of like writing the kid off before he even got started, really, And then to take it a step further, you look at what Shakur Stevenson said about Top Rank and how Top Rank pushes certain fighters. Yes, Top Rank moves Top Rank basically worships Lomachenko, Top Rank basically worships Tyson Fury. And now Teofimo Lopez, while he's not being worshipped, he's getting the kind of notoriety that is probably going to lead to worship soon. What do they all have in common? They have the complexion for the protection, right? Now, granted, they are talented fighters, right? We know that. We know they're talented and things like that. But you have guys in your stable who have put in more groundwork and have done more, have cleaned out divisions and are champions in multiple weight classes, but you guys kind of just overlook them and disregard them, and as I said before, and I'll say it again, boxing is based on race, and especially for a casual fan, boxing is based on race. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Most casual fans who follow Canelo Alvarez will never know who Salvador Sanchez was, or one of the great champions of that era. You know what I mean? People who follow Triple G, will never know who Darius Mifrashevsky was. They will never know these names, because for them, it's nationality that matters more. It's what matters is the top player with their nationality or their ethnic background right now over the sport as a whole, over the history of the sport as a whole. You know what I mean? So this is how the casual fan who's racially motivated looks at these kind of things. And then we're going to go on to what this publication said about Demetrius Bugatti Andrade. Now, they were talking about a Canelo fight, and they were saying that the casual fans want to see a Canelo Triple G trilogy. That's what they want to see, right? They were saying that. I found it quite odd that this casual publication would not call for Canelo to step up and fight someone like a real life dog, would not call for Canelo to fight even a Callum Smith, would not call for Canelo to fight maybe a Bivol, or if Canelo was still going to campaign at middleweight, not call Canelo to fight fight a Demetrius Andrade or fight a Charlo. They were not calling for that. Or at this point in time, not even call Canelo to fight someone coming up in weight who said he would beat Canelo's ass like a Earl Spence. But I found it quite odd that this magazine was just calling for Canelo to fight a Sergey Kovalev or to fight a Triple G. That's what it seems like the issue they were pushing. Now, what I also found pretty odd was that they called Demetrius Andrade's last performance against Zaleski the worst of his career. And they said that DAZN was not thrilled with making Andrade versus a Canelo fight either. But that's pretty odd to say that, because there was a prospective fight card that DAZN put out that said, what if? And headlining that card was Demetrius Andrade and Canelo. So I'm wondering, whose payroll is Boxing News 24 on? I don't think they're on their own payroll. And what I have to say is that they also went on to say that Canelo will probably never fight Demetrius Andrade based off of his last performance. So my question to Boxing News 24 is, if Demetrius Andrade's performance was so bad, wouldn't that make it more desirable for Canelo to chip him off? If the performance was just so horrible, wouldn't that make Canelo more eager to fight him? Wouldn't that make Canelo say, oh, well, there's a weakness that I see in this dude that I can just bump off really easily? Because I guess Rocky Fielding looked stellar against Canelo in you guys' eyes. So this is what we're faced with. So in light of Shakur Stevenson's comments, and in light of what this magazine has commented, we have to think ownership. We have to think our own publications that are going to be transparent, that are going to call it right down the middle for what it is. That no matter what race, creed, or like political preference a fighter may have, that we call it right down the middle. And if that fighter is ducking, we call him a duck, no matter what. If that fighter is chasing greatness, we say that fighter is chasing greatness. If that fighter has a puffed up record, we say that he has a puffed up padded record. And on the promotional side of things, you know, you don't really need a promoter anymore. I'm just going to be real with you. If you have the gift of gab, if you are charismatic, if you have these certain things, you really don't need a promoter anymore. What I'm going to say is a promoter is a middleman. And I'm just going to say, screw the middleman. You know, that's what I'm going to say. I think that you should, as a fighter, you should have partnerships with people who are going to give you that space in order to build your brand up yourself. You know what I mean? In order for you to do some of the groundwork. Although you're in the gym a lot and stuff like that, and if you're a dedicated fighter, you should be able to just focus on being able to be a fighter, but also reap the benefits of being a fighter without having to rely on a matchmaker keeping you from certain fights and things like that. Because I'm pretty sure in behind the scenes, Shakur Stevenson has probably asked for these top tier fights, but Top Rank has said, well, you know, if we move him too quickly and stuff like that, if we do this, then there's a chance that he'll become bigger than us. You know, and I think that's what it really comes down to, because that's what happened with Floyd Mayweather when he was on Top Rank. He simply outgrew them, and that's what Top Rank doesn't want. They don't want someone to outgrow them. That's what I noticed. They want to be able to like just control that fighter until they're done with him, and then they just feed him off to the next up and coming guy. And that's what I want to say Bob Arum did to Manny Pacquiao. So, you know, if you're a fighter and stuff like that, you gotta be the guy who's basically calling the shots, and you have to have an advisor or a manager that has your best interest, who's gonna say, okay, you know, we can sign this one fight deal to this network, and then get that bag, and then, you know, we'll see how that works. And then if that works out, maybe we sign it for more fights. And you just got to kind of have that kind of mentality because of the simple fact that, Shakur Stevenson is calling it out how it is. You got to be you have to have self-determination yourself, That's just how it has to work now, because the agenda is getting pushed even more and more. And the reason why the agenda is getting pushed more and more is because of the simple fact they're trying to attract the MMA fans to boxing. They're trying to get the MMA fans over to boxing as well. And so the way you get MMA fans over to boxing as well is just put boxers that happen to share the majority of MMA fans same ethnicity, But at the end of the day, the black fighter, whether he be of Black American, Caribbean background, or even Afro-Latin background, F the middleman, do things yourself, get schooled on these kind of things, get schooled on the business aspect of boxing, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. And I'm thinking to myself, since now that I'm reading these articles and stuff like that, now that I see what's going on, I'm really thinking and contemplating about starting my own kind of maybe like a blog or something like that, starting a real decent, heavy blog that will call it right down the middle when it comes to all the boxing, and that will not have a agenda in mind when it comes to calling things right down the middle, because someone told me the best path is the middle path, and I don't see that in these boxing publications. What I see is that I see these boxing writers disguised as non-biased writers, but really probably are on the payroll of, Golden Boy, Top Rank, and the like thereof. But anyhow, leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Let me know what you think about these whole developments and, what should be done. What is your opinion on what should be done? Full of summing out. Enjoy.